Jerome, debating 3A, 4, or 4A on a budget. I have a Pixel stand, so 4 makes sense, but don't want to make a decision based on that. You talk about the Pixel stand, so I'm assuming that having a wireless charger is kind of important for you. I can get the 4 for the same price as the 4A if it makes a difference. So here's the thing. Oh, this is Fear the Roo. I thought this was Big Max. You had the same color for the avatar. Fear the Roo, I know you had asked this question. So I don't know. Have you used the 4? The biggest complaint on my Pixel 4 was the battery. Is the battery still the biggest complaint for me? There were some days that were just pretty awful when it came to battery life on that phone. I also had issues with the face unlock. It's much better today than it was when I initially had it, but I much prefer the fingerprint reader, especially today with what's happening, people wearing masks or whatever. I would rather have a fingerprint reader than a face unlock. That's just me. So that's something to consider too. I do have to add in there that I still have apps that I cannot unlock with my face because of security issues that has still not been updated on my Pixel 4. I think the design on the Pixel 4a, I like the design better. At least I think so. It has a more aesthetically pleasing design than the Pixel 4. I'm also assuming if you can get a Pixel 4 at $400, or if you can get a Pixel 4 at $350, you're talking about a used one, right? Is that Pixel 4 used at 350, 64 gigs or 128 gigs of internal storage? That's something to consider as well. Because, so for me, like, I mean, yeah, people can say cloud storage all day, but my iPhone 11 Pro, the biggest gripe I have on my iPhone 11 Pro is the fact that I keep running out of storage on here. I wish I had more storage on this phone. So that's something to consider as well. There is the fact, though, that the 4 could be better in portrait shots. I'm going to have to test that out myself because that's something I'm really interested in testing to see if that telephoto lens makes a difference when it comes to the 4. And I think it does. I absolutely think it does, because when I tested portrait mode on the 3 versus my 4, the 4 came out better. And I think that telephoto lens had something to do with it. So if portrait shots are important, I would think about that as well. Yeah, obviously the 4 is going to have a better processor. Yeah. So like if gaming is important, maybe that, but there's also the battery life to consider. It's a tough question. Brian says if battery doesn't matter and storage is the same, get the 4, but the face unlock is very annoying right now with the masks. And Brian is right. And that's how I feel about it. Fear the Ruse says, thanks for all the info. Appreciate it. Or you're welcome. 64 gigs will probably be enough for me. Wondering if the 855 will be better long-term over the 730. It will. The 855 will most likely be better long-term in terms of the processor over the 730. I'm almost confident in saying that. If Dieter is talking on The Verge saying that it stutters and, you know, like has an occasional lag or whatever, yeah, the 855 will be the better bet there. Hold on to my phones for a few years, leaning towards the 4. We'll let you know. Yeah. I mean, I feel like you've answered your question there, Fear the Roo. Like if the battery isn't a concern to you, if 64 gigs of internal storage is good for you, if you can get it for $350, you can use wireless charging, has IP68 dust and water resistance. So that's another plus. And then the processor, like, I think you've answered your own question. And we all know that the iPhone is going to just completely obliterate the Pixel 4a when it comes to processing power, processing speed, gaming, all that kind of stuff. Think about that. $350, 128 gigs of internal storage, and then all the other pluses that I've added in there already. Camera, all screen display, fingerprint reader, better battery life than the Pixel 4, et cetera, et cetera. When we compare it to the iPhone SE, yes, the iPhone SE starts at $400, but that comes with 64 gigs of internal storage, smaller display, Touch ID. So, you know, a big bezel on the front. It doesn't look as modern as a Pixel 4a, and that's $400. So if you want to compete with the Pixel 4a at the same amount of storage space, then it is $350 for the Pixel 4a and then $450 for the iPhone SE. I mean, you're paying an extra $100. And then you kind of have to think like, well, is this extra $100 I'm spending? Is this extra $100, like $450 versus $350? Is that worth it? Is that extra $100 worth it for a smaller display, for I guess I don't know what the battery life would be on the iPhone SE versus the Pixel 4a. I'd imagine the Pixel 4a might be comparable, might eke out the iPhone SE. You know, you got to think about performance too if you enjoy gaming and like you. I mean, the iPhone SE will probably last people like 5 years, just like other iPhones have. So like that's something to think about as well. Um, I don't know. It's I guess it just comes down to what your preferences are. The obviously the Pixel 4a is going to have a better camera than the iPhone SE. Although the iPhone SE has a pretty damn good camera, but the Pixel 4a will beat the iPhone SE when it comes to night shots for sure. When it comes to day shots, maybe they'll be similar, but I think the Pixel 4a would still be the better camera during the day, especially at night, and overall in general probably will be the better camera for stills. When it comes to video though, the iPhone SE will probably handily beat the Pixel 4a. But I mean, someone in stream here said that the video looked better in Super Saf's what video comparison. I'd have to take a look and kind of see for myself. I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts when it came to the iPhone SE, seeing that that is now going to be the main competitor to the Pixel 4a. I really wish that Google just had released this phone earlier and competed with the iPhone SE when the iPhone SE released theirs, or better yet, I wish the Pixel 4a released before the iPhone SE did, but like we don't have control over that and we don't really know. I mean, they said coronavirus and all that kind of stuff, but who knows the real truth behind it.